So welcome to Tipp GAA TV. We now know who the county finalists are for 2022, and we have just watched the semi-final here between Kildangan and Drummoninch, with Kildangan running out 4 points winners over the mid-tip side. Your assessment to that, Ken Dunne?
Yeah, an exciting finish to a game, Stephen. You know, it was probably lacklustre for a little while, but a really good second half, I thought. And, you know, Kildangan looked like they were, you know, kicking on there in the middle of the second half. Looked like they were in control and were going to get back to another county final. But Drum stayed at it, and you know, they had their chance there at the end, maybe to get level, and they really did well to get back into the game. And you know, the last goal by Dan O'Mara just sealed the deal. But an exciting finish for sure.
Just before that, Dan O'Mara hit a rasper across the crossbar. It went out over the line at the far side of the field. He had a goal on his mind, and like Drum had all the chances there, but he slatted it home nicely at the end.
Yeah, and the Kildangan forwards, Stephen, I said it in the first half, they looked busier today. They looked like they were hungrier. They were driving at the goals, and Sean Hayes was a goal threat there, running down the middle as well. And obviously Dan is a great goal threat to Kildangan. He's a very direct player, and he always seems to get a goal or create goal chances. And you know, in the end, you know, they did enough to get over the line, and they'll probably go in favourites into the county final versus Kilruane McDonough's. But yeah, they're deserved to be back in the county final. And you know, Drummoninch will be disappointed. They tried really hard and could have got a draw at the end, you know, and they really tried hard there at the end to get that final score, but it wasn't to be for them.
In the first half for them, Tommy Nolan was excellent. Shamey Callan was, you know, putting the pressure on, showing his experience, and like it was still like that at the end. If they could get that ball into the full forward line, who knows with them?
Yeah, and the ball dried up going in the second half, Stephen. And you know, the first half, Tommy Nolan scored 4 points from play in total. He looked very dangerous. He won some frees. Shamey scored 1-9, you know what I mean, 1, 2 or 3 from play as well. David Collins contributed. So all of those players were inside in the full forward line, and when they got the ball in there, they were very dangerous. Unfortunately for them, the ball stopped going in there in the second half, and they had to move David Collins out to the wing and brought in Tony Cahill, and that made a difference in the end. And Tony Cahill looked dangerous in there. He was winning ball and was a right menace to the Kildangan defenders. David Collins also delivered some lovely ball into him, you know, and maybe if they'd made that move a little bit earlier, you know, the result might have been different. But yeah, you know, you'd only 4 scores on the Drummoninch team. You know, okay. Compared to Kildangan, who had 7 scores. All their 6 forwards contributed to the scoreboard for Kildangan. You know, and Alan Flynn scored a couple of long-range frees there as well. And that, probably at the end of the day, Stephen, that was probably the difference.
He hit some brilliant frees just below us here, you know, from his own 65 all the way. And he's their captain as well. He's a real leader there.
He's a class striker of the ball, and he's a real leader. And he's been a great servant himself, and Paul, obviously, you know. But also, I mentioned Brian Mallochny. I thought Brian Mallochny was excellent today. Now he got 2 points from play, and he hit his frees really well. I know he missed maybe 1 or 2 difficult ones at the end, but up to that point, I think he had 7 frees, and he had 7 out of 7. You know what I mean? And that gave Kildangan a great footing and a great foundation to build on for the rest of the day. So, you know, I had mentioned them 2 players, but also, you know, Joe Gallagher, I thought, led the line well at 11, scored 3 points from play. Sean Hayes scored 3 from play. Billy Seymour and Willie got 1 from play, and Paul Flynn 2 points from play. And Paul Flynn probably did well in the second half. Now, was out of the game probably in the first half, but, you know, showed a lot of leadership there in the second half, and drove at Drummoninch.
Good stuff, Ken. Moving to the first match today, Kilruane McDonough's were 6-point winners over Upper Church Drumban, and like they were catching the ball in the rain, driving rain in the first half, catching ball, working it up the field. Seamus Hennessy, Niall O'Mara just driving them on.
Yeah, Seamus Hennessy came on for Jack Peters early in the game there, and did really well. He also was very good against Toomevara, scored 2 points in a quarter-final in a really tight game. But, you know, Kilruane were fully deserving of their 6 points now, I thought, Stephen. I thought they were a little bit better than Upper Church Drumban today. And I think the difference was their forwards. I think Kilruane really tied up the Upper Church forwards. You know, they tied up Paul Shanahan and Paddy Green, who'd been immense for Upper Church throughout the year. But at the other end, I thought Cian O'Kelly, you know, Jerome Cahill was excellent, obviously, all through. And, you know, they dropped him back later in the game. Willie Cleary hit his frees well, and I thought had a very fine game, you know, and obviously Cian Darcy got his goal as well. So, you know,
balanced team,
Stephen. They do have forwards that can hurt you. and that's what you need going into a county final. And I think that's what came against maybe Upperchurch today. They just didn't have enough bullets up front to see them through to a county final, and that's what Killarwan have, and they will cause the Killadangan defence some problems. It's whether they're good enough all over the field to be able to get over the line.
Yeah, they had Jerome Cahill in at full forward there at the start of the second half, a real target man, and then brought on Buggy O'Mara there, and Jerome moved out towards the half-back line centre field and mopped up everything then.
He did, sure. He's a class player, Jerome Cahill, and if he wins the ball inside, he's so much pace and so much strength and so much balance that he will create goal chances. And Killadangan he'll be the one man that Killadangan will be talking about for the next 2 weeks. They won't be talking about too many players. They'll concentrate on their own game, but I guarantee you they'll be talking about Jerome Cahill and how they're going to curtail him in the final.
What's it going to be like, Ken? Two North teams, you've hurled against both of them down the years, and good clubs.
Yeah, they're great. Traditional clubs, you know what I mean? Killarwan haven't been here in a long time, you know what I mean? And they would have been, they're to the forefront of Tipperary club hurling over the last 100 years, An all-North Tipperary county final. We played in 06 against Aerognina in an all, and we played Nina in a couple of county finals, but the last one was 06 county final, and that was a great game. Actually, it was a great county final, and there, when you're playing your neighbours and you're playing your fellow division teams, it adds a little bit more spice to it. And Killarwan will be licking their lips at the thought of Killadangan, and Killadangan will be licking their lips at the thought of facing up Killarwan McDonald's. Yeah. So
you reckon it's going to be a very good, exciting final in store?
Yeah, I hope so, Stephen. I think the standard over the last few weeks has been poor enough now, to be honest. I think the second game today in the second half was a little bit better. Now, it wasn't outstanding stuff by any means, but it was a little bit better. The quality was a little bit more than what we have seen. So I hope, looking forward to a good game, a high quality game. I think Killadangan will go in really as strong favourites, to be honest, Stephen. I do. That experience of the last couple of years and just with their forwards and how they're motoring today, I thought they were a lot better. And I think even the conditions probably didn't even suit him today, Stephen. I think if they get a dry day, it would suit him probably a little bit better. So, I would say advantage Killadangan, but, on county final day, anything can happen, and it's the first one in a long time for Killarwan, and they will be hungry for it. So if they bring that energy and appetite and hunger to it, they have a real chance.
Good stuff, Ken Dunne. Before we let you go here, the Premier Intermediate Final is the same day. We'll be streaming that live here on Tipp GAA TV. That's going to be a great game. Gurtnahoe Glengool up against Rosgray.
Yeah, that's right, Stephen. And Gurtnahoe had a great win today, and Rosgray will probably go in favourites for that game, but Rosgray would like to get back up into that senior rank, you know what I mean? But Gurtnahoe, with Richie Root and their management team, have done really well. They had a great win over St Mary's, 318 to 22 points, and Rosgray had a titanic battle against a very organised Burgess team in an all-North affair yesterday, and they did well to come out with a 2-point victory, but that should make for a really good final as well.
So great hurling in store.
Yeah, looking forward to the next couple of weeks. October, county final time, what more could you ask for? It's great to be going to these games. There's underage games on as well. I was at an under-15 North final, Toomeyvar and Killarwan yesterday, and that was a great match. And, all these under-17 county finals, 15 county finals, they're all culminating now in October and over the next few weeks, and it's great to be out and about and going to these games, seeing what talent is on show.
Great stuff. Ken Dunne, thanks for joining us today. It's all to play for now in Tipp. Finals day is in 2 weeks' time. We're looking